Hi, this is Chuck at Lazarus Recovery YouTube, the junction of faith and recovery. And we're talking a little bit in small pieces about change, because it seems change is really important, and it's the thing that everybody worries about. In CR, it's a lot of different things. In AA and NA, it's a little more simple. It's pretty specific, but still, change is change. It's a hard thing, And what we want to do is we want to have talked about change because we have to, and a lot of it's about change because we have to. We're convinced. Now let me talk a little bit about the problem of suggestions. And I don't know whether I have a story. I do have a story. This isn't my story. It is a little bit, but my early sobriety teaches a lot of lessons, and I'm going to talk a couple of those lessons very briefly. I got sober in 1974, 75, 76. A couple year period in my early sobriety, and some of the lessons are from that. I'm going to tell basically sea stories or things about people that I knew. I'm not going to use names or anything like that, but these are stories that teach lessons about change, or a lack of change, or not getting with the program. I knew a guy, and this is at a very early part of my sobriety. There was a guy that came around. I went to a young people's meeting on Saturday night in Brookline. It still goes on. Brookline Young People's, you can go on Saturday night. I'm pretty sure it's still there in the same place on Beacon Street in Boston, in Brookline. You can go there. I mean, probably they have a banner hanging there that I picked up, ordered and picked up when I was brand new sober, and that's like 44 years ago. So, my name's not on it, but, that's what it was. So it was Brookline Young People's, long time ago. It's there, I'm pretty sure it's still there. And the same people went to a step meeting on Monday night. It was a little, there was a little step meeting. There was probably maybe a table full of 5, 6, 8, 10 people. And that was one of my meetings that I went to every week. I went to that meeting on a Monday night when the blizzard of 78 came, and I can remember walking in, and it was snow just scuffing on the ground, and when I came out there was a lot of snow. I was wading through snow. The trolleys had stopped, and I had to walk all the way home, all the way down towards Boston, or apartment where I had, So I went to a step meeting, and in that step meeting was a guy, and we got to know him. My crew got to know him, and I've seen this over and over again. People, it's one of those things where, and I tell people, they come in and they say, well, I've got to, I want to get it all back. I want to recover everything right now. So they recover everything right now. And this guy was good at recovering everything right now. He had it down pat. He had it absolutely down pat. He got sober, and he got a job, and he got a girlfriend, and he got an apartment, and then he got drunk. You say, what happened? And we'd talk to him and say, hey, and he'd inevitably end up at Copley Square in Boston begging for money. I mean, it was sort of like it was on a commuter train. Bip, 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 bip. You just check off the stops, And, at first you say, okay, but he repeated this process like 4 or 5 times. And we were we ran into him at Copley Square, and he came to meetings and everything like that, and he was all fired up, and he did some things for a short period of time. And he always, it was just an arc. It was, it was like a scientific curve. And he did the same stuff. He said, I gotta change the details of my life. He wasn't changing his life. He was reacquiring and recovering the stuff that he had before. He was checking off a list. I gotta get the relationship back. I gotta get the apartment back. I gotta get all the stuff back. I gotta get back where I was. He'd always get back where he was, and then he'd pick up a drink. You know what the problem was? He didn't change anything but the stuff. Changing the stuff doesn't change the person. He never changed the quality of his recovery. He always just worked hard at getting the stuff back. He never attacked the thing. He just attacked the sort of the outlying symptoms of the thing. He was in a hurry. I tell people, I say, I gotta get my job back, my wife back, I gotta get in the big bed, I gotta do this and that and everything like that. No. You gotta get a framework of recovery that really works. You gotta get into a place that changes here rather than all the stuff, because sometimes we wrap ourselves with stuff and say we're okay when we don't do anything about it here. Change isn't about the stuff, it's about up here. It's about here. And that change takes more time. So, our buddy, I can't even remember his name, he had everything. He was a white kid from a rich suburb in Boston. He had very well-to-do parents, very well-to-do parents. And they didn't cut him off or anything. He was well-to-do, he wasn't impoverished, but in 6 months he was dead. Because when he relapsed, he relapsed. He went boom, homeless on the street, drinking, just tearing his body apart. He ended up dead. And I learned that the change that's important isn't about stuff. It's not about, change isn't about the stuff. The girlfriend, the apartment, the job, the this, the that, the something else. It obviously wasn't about that, because he every time he got that back, as soon as he got it back, he relapsed. And inevitably, he relapsed to the point where he didn't survive. In NA these days, it's much quicker. It's insane these days, because doing right, something's a little off, pick up, buy something dead. There's no safety, there's no, just boom, bang, dead. It's like, okay, and then you get the gun and you play Russian roulette. And everybody knows it's Russian roulette, and they play it anyway. Something here isn't changing. Something here isn't changing. So change ain't changed till it's changed. And you're not looking for a change of stuff. You're looking for change in here. And that only happens if it's a long-term thing. There's no quick fixes in this thing. You have to not drink, not use, and build a network of people, things, and habits that protect you from yourself picking up a drink or a drug. You got to do that. Changing your stuff is not changing your heart. Changing your heart is about building a program and a framework that keeps you away from a drink and a drug and draws you closer to God and closer to the change agents that really work. So, don't be like my guy that changed the stuff and didn't change the heart. So that's another story from many stories about getting sober, getting clean in the, God help me, the 70s. So this is Chuck, Lazarus Recovery YouTube at the junction of faith and recovery.